Hello, degenerates, freaks, geeks, internet weirdos, and people I really don't want to meet in real life. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And we're gonna take a look at the front line. We're gonna move from Tetkino all the way down to Zaporizhia, but we will focus on Sumy Oblast and Kupyansk. Ukraine has the advantage in Sumy Oblast, and Russia has an opportunity in just north of Kupiansk, and that is worrisome. To be perfectly honest, they can actually damage Ukraine significantly if they manage to push into Kupyansk from the north. Right, starting off with Andrew Perpetua's map, Sumy Oblast. Not much happening on his map up around Tetkino. This is for the 23rd. So he's a bit behind, but I mean, he's a busy guy. He does all kinds of mapping and double checking, destroyed vehicles and everything. There's a massive backlog for the poor guy, so no wonder. But anyway, he has made this update 7 hours ago for the 23rd. Not much happening up in Tetkino, but we can see some updates here in Sumy Oblast. Russia shelling the tree line here, so Ukraine has moved over the field and secured the windbreak. Russia keeps bombing this forest, evidently a Ukrainian stronghold. Ukraine is in Andriivka. Ukraine is launching assaults against Oleksivka. And Andrew has also included or confirmed the massive rocket shelling aimed at Ukrainian positions in these woods previously held by Russia. So Ukraine has obviously pushed north into this area here. And if we head on over to Mayakovsk 73, we can basically see the same. Not much happening up and around Tetkino. But we have the Russian strikes at the Ukrainian fortification. Ukraine does appear to be, this is from the 22nd, so yeah, but these are older. On the 22nd, we saw Ukrainian strikes towards the rear part of Kindrakivka. These are more recent, though, these motorcycle assaults. From the 23rd, Russia tried to push in on the 23rd with motorbikes, but no changes on the map in Andriivka in the last couple of days, so I guess we can assume that the motorbikes failed. And that is the thing with the motorbikes is that on occasion they do work, but most of the time they don't. I think the estimate is that 1 in 7 motorbike assaults actually have success. So a high rate of attrition, lots of casualties involved, but when you do get a successful mission, that mission can then actually affect a section of the front line where you have a successful breakthrough despite all the casualties, and that forces Ukraine to relocate. But I think the estimate is that 1 in 7 of these assaults is successful in the end. So it's roll the dice basically. And the Russians, they seem to be fine with those numbers, because when they do have a breach and when they do get past Ukrainian positions, the motorcycles has a pretty large effect. Oleksivka, we can see here, Ukraine applying pressure on Oleksivka. Here we have the tank assault the other day from the 22nd, and this is actually tank shells from the... What? 26th? Must have slipped with the keys, right? So this is the Ukrainian tank operation when they moved up, came around this corner and started shelling down the tree line at Russian positions up here. So pressure on Kubyansk from the Ukrainians, and also the Russian rocket strikes into this area where Ukraine has more than likely pushed up to secure territory. So the interesting thing here is in Sumy Oblast at the moment Ukraine is applying pressure in the west. They're applying pressure here in Andriivka and Oleksivka. They're pushing up with tanks towards Yablonivka, sorry. And in Yunakivka, the Russians have halted their advance. According to Russian sources, the Russians can't push on. And Ukraine appears to be advancing in the east as well. So we're seeing a general advance along the front line in Sumy Oblast for Ukraine. Ukraine has initiative at the moment, advancing here, advancing here, advancing here, putting a stop to Russian advances here, and they are advancing here, forcing the Russians back ever so slightly. Nothing major, but still there's a clear shift in momentum, right? Moving over to my map, just to take a quick look here at Tetkino. Ukraine keeps contesting this big factory in the middle of town, indicating that Ukraine can move up to that factory. So seems to suggest that they can move through this forested area here. This is the bridge that got massively struck the other day by several bombs. The mappers indicate that Ukraine struck this bridge. I don't understand why though, because this part of the same river here, the western side, the western bank, is under Ukrainian control. So why would Ukraine blow up this bridge? I don't know. But they are still contesting the factory according to the mappers. Ukraine has expanded territory over here. And the interesting part is that Syrsky says that Ukraine controls or has presence in 90 square kilometers within Kursk. And that would suggest that most of that would be here, around Tetkino. And Andrew Perpetua has mapped out that Ukraine is contesting territory over here, around here. So pushing in from Beshalivka more than likely to contest these windbreaks and forested areas. According to Andrew, they are all the way over here in Volfino even, very close to these important border towns, Krasnotabrisky mainly. And that would line up with Syrsky's claim of Ukraine having 90 square kilometers. Ukraine needs this territory for those numbers to make any sense. But we haven't had any real confirmation that Ukraine is in control of these windbreaks. So that's why I have marked them as unknowns at the moment. The same thing with this area here, since the Russians are telling us that Tetkino is close to being surrounded and cut off, which indicates that Ukraine might have pushed up into this area. We're seeing this on Mayakovsk 73's map, for instance, that Ukraine is contesting this part of the battlefield here. So that is the situation here in Tetkino as far as I can figure it. Going by what Syrsky is saying, what the mappers are showing us, and what Russian sources have told us. And yeah, going back to Sumy Oblast. Here, Ukraine has pushed into this windbreak here, putting pressure on Kindrakivka. They're in Andriivka, defending it from several motorcycle assaults. Oleksivka maybe still under Russian control, but Ukraine is applying pressure on Oleksivka at least. Yablonivka, Ukraine pushed up into this area here south of the village and made a tank assault the other day. Russian advances have been halted in Yunakivka, and here on the eastern flank Ukraine is pushing up as well into these forests. So at the moment Ukraine has momentum and operational initiative in this area, and like I've said for months, this would probably be a massive trap that the Russians walked into. Ukraine knew that at some point they would be pushed out of Kursk and then they would fall back into Sumy Oblast, and there was a high chance of Russia following Ukraine into Sumy Oblast. So the Ukrainians have obviously prepared defenses all over the place and were ready for this push. And when the Russians came in, the Ukrainians just waited and then sprung the trap, and they're now pushing the Russians back, inflicting massive casualties, as it were. So that's the situation up here. We're gonna focus a bit on Kupyansk. Gonna quickly take a look down here. Russia is advancing, nothing major. Basically, for the most part, it is contested area that is being pushed forward. Russia is applying pressure, obviously, but the advance, as we've noted, is slow going. Same thing here, not much is happening. Same thing around Toretsk. I mean, they've taken Toretsk and hardly made any advances in the area in breaking out of Toretsk. Same thing here. Something happened here, though, the other day. Interesting. If we take a look, Russia pushes out here into Reykivka, and that puts these Ukrainians in trouble, because now they're outflanked on 3 sides, and the Ukrainians more than likely abandoned positions since they were outflanked and were at risk of being encircled. So the Ukrainians probably abandoned this position and fell back to reduce casualties. But the interesting part is here we have Andrew confirming that Russia has pushed into Hulubivka and into Radkivka. We can see it on the Ukraine, on Mayakovsk 73's map as well, how Russia is pushed down here into Hulubivka and into Radkivka. They are now really close to the outskirts of Kupyansk down here. If this is Radivka, I mean, is it what, 2 kilometers? Not much. That's not a long distance at all, and Russia has a forest that they can advance through. If they are in Radkivka, they can begin pushing down through this forest to reach the outskirts, northern outskirts of Kupyansk. And this is troublesome, if you ask me. Now, Russia, they're sensing that they have the advantage. They're on the move. They can achieve a significant victory here. So I'm thinking they will put in a lot of effort to linking up their forces here and then keep pushing into Kupyansk. And that actually puts this entire pocket here in great risk, which is a shame, because just south of it is where Ukraine has had quite some success of late in pushing the Russians back. This is where Russia might have a manpower issue. Andrew Perpetua has, when he's been watching some footage of Ukrainians assaulting, the Russians have very, very few troops in each trench line and dugout. So there might be a manpower issue down here. But that may be for naught if Russia pushes into Kupyansk, because hang on, there we go, there aren't that many bridges in the area. Ugh, what's happening here? Fail. So you have the main bridges here within Kupyansk itself, and then if you move down slightly south, you have a bridge here and another bridge here, and here you can see a Russian drone attack in the area. This bridge is destroyed. I'm not sure about this bridge or these bridges up here, but Ukraine, I'm guessing Russia has blown them up previously, but at the same time, I mean, they want to cross these bridges themselves, I guess, is the idea in the end. So maybe they've been left alone because the Russians want the bridges themselves. But as you can imagine, why isn't the map... What the fuck's going on here? Oh, this is just messing everything up. Anyway, if Russia can push into Kupyansk and cut this bridge here and these 2 bridges here, that leaves Ukraine with the only option of coming across down here and down here. This bridge is destroyed. As you can see here, you can't cross here, relying on the bridges, right? So that leaves this bridge, if it's still intact. And all of a sudden, this entire pocket is at risk of being completely cut off from supplies and reinforcements and what have you. They, of course, can use boats and what have you, but that just makes things, it slows everything down. You can't get enough volume across the river. Drones hunting you if they see a boat if you're trying to load a boat with stuff, the drone can dive down and hit you. This is problematic, if you ask me. If the Russians can gather momentum up here and push into Kupiansk from the north, and potentially cutting the supply lines across these bridges. That would put this entire pocket at risk. And since the Russians are well aware, they have established a presence on the western banks of the Oskil, they will probably build up momentum here to launch an assault to reach these bridges. And then this pocket is in trouble, to say the least. That's Kupyansk. Yeah, this is potentially a big Russian victory in the making. To be perfectly honest. Was there something else? Yes. Russia's slow advance. We've been talking about it on multiple sections of the front line. I like to return to Stepove, as you know. And Stepove is still holding. It's contested, absolutely, but Russia has not secured it. They have not moved past it. And even over here, you can see how Russia or Ukraine the other day pushed back into the small village of Sherbaki. So the Russian advance here towards Zaporizhia is less than stellar, but something might be in the making, since Russia is launching this massive attack against Kupyansk and the rear, what do you call it? The rear positions here behind Kupyansk. Massive rocket strikes, and we even have Russian airstrikes and missile strikes and what have you. So something big is happening here. Russia is applying a lot of firepower to this part of the battlefield. Might be indicating that they will make a big push into this area in the next couple of days. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Maybe they're trying to break through Ukrainian lines in the Zaporizhia area. For once, they've been stuck for ages down here, to be perfectly honest. And just to highlight, I like to highlight this because we must show this to the Vatniks. Ukraine in its entirety, right? This is where Russia has been advancing. You can clearly see it, how they've moved out from their defensive lines. Barely any movement elsewhere along the front line, right? This has taken Russia 2 years to achieve. They began this push basically when they assaulted Avdiivka in September roughly of 2023. And they took Avdiivka eventually. They pushed on to Ocheretino, and right after Ocheretino they began the push towards Pokrovsk, right? So when in September of 2025, it will be 2 years of war, and Russia has secured this portion of Ukraine essentially. And I'm gonna keep repeating it, it's 1% of Ukraine in total. So 0.5% per year, essentially, is what Russia has achieved so far in pushing into Ukraine down here. So yeah, quite incredible. Schneckenkrieg, Snail War. This is not Blitzkrieg, this is not Lightning War, this is Schneckenkrieg. Quick return up to Kupyansk because I zoomed in on those bridges we were talking about. Take a look at this. So here we have that bridge. This bridge is clearly destroyed, right? We saw that on the other image as well. And then we have the bridge up here we were talking about, right? Sadove. Take a look when we zoom in. That's destroyed, right? So this bridge is also destroyed. And this bridge down here is destroyed. That leaves the bridge in Kupyansk. And take a look. This bridge is destroyed. But this does appear to be, I don't know, intact. Are these trucks? This must be military trucks. This must be logistics, right? Military logistics, moving back and forth. These must be military trucks, bringing supplies and what have you all the way to the front line. So this bridge is still intact in Kupyansk. All the other bridges have been blown. Okay, so this is even more critical than I first thought. Okay, yes, we can now assume that Russia will, I'm gonna flat out assume it from now on. Russia is building up forces up here. They're gonna push hard as hell through the woods here at the south of Radivka to gain access to Kupyansk and cut this bridge off. This bridge is the objective. They're gonna be pushing hard as hell to reach this bridge, because then this entire pocket is cut off from logistics. Okay, yeah, so the next couple of days, coming weeks, will probably be very important for Ukraine to manage to prepare defenses in the north of Kupyansk. I mean, they probably have already begun doing that for a couple of weeks or months, but still, I think Russia they want to push now when they have initiative, when they have momentum, to come into Kupyansk and reach that bridge so that they can affect the entire front line over here. Yeah, this is worrisome, to be perfectly honest. That's it. That's all I have for you this time around. I hope you found it interesting. I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.
Woke up to a world of gray, mountains high where the fallen lay. Ashes dance in the morning light. Freedom's cost such a brutal fight. Friends I knew are memories now, faceless foes beneath the cloud. Every breath in a sea of red, wishing it was me instead. Blood and bones beneath my feet, echoes of our heart's last beat. I stand alone on this battlefield. For freedom's dream, we refuse to yield. Whispers of ghosts in the wind's cold cry, flames of courage, you'll never die. Though the night be black as coal, their spirit's fire warms my soul. Every scar and broken bone, proof that I'm not on my own. In this silence, they speak clear, voices I will